maybe it's not that you like that person so much, that that person is so amazing, so wonderful. Maybe it's just that you don't like yourself enough. And because you don't like yourself enough, you are now overvaluing this person. And when you overvalue somebody, then they become more valuable to you than they might actually be. And this isn't to say that people aren't valuable or that we should be looking for high value people, avoiding low value people. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, if you don't like yourself enough, if you aren't invested or interested in yourself, then you will overfocus on somebody else. And when you overfocus on somebody, they become more interesting and more investment worthy to you than you are to yourself. So when you're dealing with somebody where you think that they are your ideal person, your ideal partner, that they are so amazing, they're so wonderful, despite maybe when you've noticed that there are things about them and their values, the way they show up, that don't align with you and who you are and what you need in your life, you still think that they are amazing, wonderful, perfect. It might just be that you don't like yourself enough, and all that attention that should also be going to you is now going to them and making you believe subconsciously that they are more important to you than they could be or should be in your life. Now, of course, yes, we want to have people in our lives that are important to us. That is the point of interdependence in relationships of any kind, right? What I mean is to recognize that somebody who might not be aligned with you in many ways is only viewed by you as important or really valuable or necessary in your life simply because you're putting too much attention on them, attention that should be going back to you. But you don't put that attention onto you because you don't like yourself very much. And that may be harsh to hear, or maybe a little sad to think about. If this resonates with you, there might be a bit of grief there. But I think it's really important to acknowledge if that is something that does relate to you in your experience. Maybe you don't like yourself enough. Sit with that feeling. Let yourself feel what it feels like to recognize that as true within yourself, that you don't like yourself enough, and then start working on that. Because the ability to like yourself, or just liking yourself in general, is vital in your experience on this planet. If you don't like yourself enough, you will always be pouring your energy and attention into someone or something that you think is more valuable than you. If you don't see yourself as valuable, then you will seek out that feeling of value in external ways. That could be a relationship, right? It could be friendships, it could be jobs, it could be anything outside of you that you are putting way more emphasis onto than you should be. And so when you do that, you tend to, as I've learned from my own experience, of course, that's what I'm speaking from all the time when I make content like this, you then start to drift too far away from yourself. You lose yourself in something or someone else that is giving you this promise, right? This fantasy of saving you in some way, of making you better or more important, or making your life more exciting, because none of that is existing within you. And when you drift too far away from yourself, you're abandoning yourself, you're leaving yourself behind, which makes you then devalue yourself even more, because you're showing yourself you can't rely on yourself, that you will abandon yourself for somebody else who you think will make you feel the way you need to feel, or something else that'll, fulfill this fantasy you have in your mind of what the perfect life is supposed to look like or will look like for you. Obviously, that's not possible. That's not what's going to happen. All you're doing is just, in a sense, disrespecting yourself, making yourself feel even worse than you already might feel. The feeling that you have that is making you attach to someone, right? Not feeling good enough within yourself, so you attach to someone else or something else to make you feel better. It's just reinforcing that belief over and over again every time you do that. Every time you drift too far away from yourself, attach to someone else, and then begin to overvalue them, forgetting that you are important too, because you don't see yourself that way. So it's really important to recognize this, to understand it, to be honest with yourself about it. Obviously, like all of this work is about being honest and vulnerable with yourself. You can't make changes unless you're able to do that. And it's really hard to do that, right? So take it easy with yourself, be kind to yourself, but you have to be honest and vulnerable and really hold yourself accountable and ask yourself, do I like myself? And if the answer is no, and you can really be honest with yourself about that, ask yourself why. Why don't I like myself? What about me do I not like? Now, there are two categories here, right? One is the things that you can't change about yourself, just things that are inherently who you are, your appearance, certain things about you, you can't change them. Those things are not what you should be focusing on, right? Those are things you cannot change. If you can't change them, or you can, but you don't want to go through what it takes to change them because maybe it's not aligned with your values and your morals, there's no point focusing on them. It's not going to benefit you in any way. So instead, you focus on the second category, which are the things that you can change and you would like to change, or the things that you can change, but you know what? You don't want to change them because they are inherently who you are. They are aligned with you. But the only issue is that you worry what other people will think, and you worry about how others will perceive you. And then that makes you, not want to lean into those parts of yourself. Those are really important to focus on instead. So on the one side, you can change those things about yourself that this is not really how I want to be showing up. I need to be different. I need to act differently, more aligned with my values, the kind of person I want to be, sure. Or this is who I am, and I have to let myself indulge in that part of me and be all in with them and hold space for them in a sense, and be kind and caring and compassionate towards them so that I recognize that they are important and they are valuable and they are worthy of me showing up for them. When you do that, as I've learned, again, from my own experience, you're less likely to lose yourself, to drift away from yourself and attach to someone else or something outside of you that's going to make you feel valuable and worthy, because you're already having it with that inside of you, right? You're already cultivating that feeling within you. And so when you do that, then you like yourself more, right? Because you're being kind to yourself, you're being compassionate towards yourself, you're showing yourself that it's okay to exist here, to exist in general. You like yourself more. You enjoy being around yourself more. And so when you like yourself more, you don't need to seek out likability in other people or to seek out approval and acceptance from others, because you're already accepting and liking yourself. So if you're struggling with liking yourself, you really have to consider, what does it mean to be likable to you? What do you need to like someone? What are qualities and characteristics that people you like have? And do you have them? And how can you then start incorporating them into your life in the way you show up for yourself? Make yourself likable to you. You have to like yourself at the very least, right? You have to like yourself before you can love yourself. And if you're struggling with self-love, this is part of the process, right? It's a gradual, slow, incline towards that. But it starts with liking yourself, being likable. And if you're mean to yourself, if you're unkind to yourself, if you hate yourself, berate yourself, if you make mistakes, you don't forgive yourself, why would you like yourself? You're not going to like yourself. If you shame yourself for the things that are true to you, authentic to you, the things that you genuinely feel like are who you are as a person, your interests, your hobbies, whatever. If you shame yourself for those things, you're not going to like yourself. And if you don't like the version of you that's shaming you, the version of you that's shaming you obviously doesn't like the version of you that is authentic, right? So it's like a relationship within yourself and between yourself. You're both not liking each other. You're both battling each other. And so, of course, it's going to create some discord in your existence, and you're going to seek out that comfort, that security, that acceptance elsewhere with other people. And then you'll attach to someone who maybe gives you a little bit of that feeling of acceptance, approval, being liked, whatever. And you'll see them as really valuable, as really important, because you're not getting it from yourself. And now, because you're attaching to them and you're getting a little bit of that and you're seeing them as really important, you overvalue them now. And now you're giving all your time and attention to them. You're over-focusing on them. All the energy that you could be pouring back into yourself, doing things that are good for you, important to you, you're giving to that person. And you've lost yourself. Now you've drifted too far away from yourself. So it's really about recognizing when you've drifted too far away from yourself, noticing it, feeling like you're being kind of like if you were on a leash and you've drifted too far away, that leash pulls you back. Recognizing it as a tether, right? Bringing you back to who you are, where you need to be within yourself. And then making sure that you're doing all the things to make you want to be with yourself, right? Because why are you drifting so far away from yourself if it's not because you don't like things about you or like the way you're showing up for yourself? So anytime you notice yourself drifting away, you're over-attaching to someone, you're using some sort of external experience as a fantasy to make you feel better, feel like life could be perfect if only you had this, or you with this person, if this person liked you, whatever it is for you. Ask yourself, wait, do I like myself right now? In this point in time, do I like myself? And if I don't, how can I make myself like myself more? And what do I have to show myself right now? What kind of attention do I have to put on myself to make me feel as valuable as I think this other external thing or person is? What do I have to do right now? Maybe it's devoting more time to your creative work. Maybe it's devoting more time to your self-care. Maybe whatever it is for you. It could be anything. But you might notice that there are things that you're neglecting, right? Maybe it's you're not reading as much, and reading's a hobby for you that you really enjoy. Maybe it's a physical activity, whatever it is for you. You haven't been doing it enough. Notice it when it comes up, and notice that it might be what's triggering you to attach to something outside of yourself and overvaluing it because you just don't like being around you right now. Again, this is sad to think about. It's sad to experience. There's grief there, but you can change that, right? You can turn around and become your best friend. It's not something you have to just accept and think that that's your reality from now on. You have to hate yourself. That's just how it is. It's not. You get to decide that. So this is your permission to do that. And I am here to encourage you to start liking yourself. Do things that are likable. Do things that show you that you are invested in yourself, that you enjoy being around yourself. Pour that energy and attention into you. And I know it's going to feel selfish. It's going to feel self-indulgent, as I mentioned in a previous episode. Good. It should feel that way. That's the point, right? Because if you are overindulging someone else, their life, who they are, you're pouring all that energy and attention into them, you're seeing them as this kind of maybe godlike figure. You're forgetting about yourself and the importance you have in your own life, because you are very important to your life. You're the one who makes things happen in your life. Of course, there are many things we can't control that happen to us, and we just have to go with the flow and figure it out, of course. But there are many things that you and only you can have the power to change and fix and control, and you cannot forget that. Nobody else can do that for you in the way you need it done for you. So to overvalue, to pour all your energy and attention into them is not going to do you any benefits, right? Of course, yes, connect with people, enjoy people's company. But if you're over giving, over investing, attaching too much to the point where you're losing yourself, that's not healthy. And it's important to recognize it, acknowledge it, hold yourself accountable, and do what you need to do to make yourself like yourself, you know? And again, it sounds almost too simplified, but I think that is the best place to start if you're struggling with this. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. I hope it gave you something to think about, to journal about. I've written a Substack essay about this. I've made some TikTok videos about this if you're interested in hearing different perspectives, shorter form content. Follow me over there. You can follow me on Instagram as well. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, as I always say, I'm not a therapist. I just love talking about these things. If you want to pick my brain a little bit, hear more about my experience, feel free to book a one-to-one call over on my website. Other than that, thank you for being here, and I'll be back again soon with another episode.